Okay, so the Oklahoma Sooners are going to Provo, Utah to play that long-awaited game that Oklahoma fans have been looking forward to this year. Now, listen, this game preview, it's coming out a little late, was without internet all day on Thursday. So you guys are going to be catching this on Friday morning as I'm recording this late Thursday night. But hey, you might be listening to this while you're driving out to Provo, or you might already be there. So here's the deal. If you're watching from Provo, if you're driving to Provo and you're listening to this, I want you to jump down in the comments, obviously when you're parked, and let me know where you're at. Additionally, if you're on any of the podcast platforms, Apple, Google, or Spotify, make sure you give me 5 stars, leave me a review. But I want you guys to be joining the discussion here if you're on YouTube. And I want you guys to tell me what your guys' thoughts are about Oklahoma going to play BYU and what your expectations are. So drop your score predictions below. All right, so Oklahoma versus BYU. This one should not be complicated this week because BYU, they're not very good, right? I think we can all agree with that. When you look at just one, their record, but two, of what they've done this season, this is not a team that just blows your socks off, right? BYU's, well, coming into this game, BYU's 5-5, even though Oklahoma's coming to Provo. BYU's coming in 5-5, Oklahoma 8-2, 5-2 in the conference. BYU 2-5. So not too good their first year in the Big 12. We actually haven't seen any of these new Big 12 teams do well yet. Making that jump from Group of 5 to Power 5, it's obviously a challenge, and it's going to be a challenge for BYU, especially with their rivals, Utah coming in, along with Colorado, Arizona, Arizona State. So the Big 12 is going to be getting interesting as Oklahoma and Texas are on their way out, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the game ahead of us. And is Oklahoma favored in this one? 94.2% chance to win this game, according to the matchup predictor, only giving BYU a 5.8% chance. And hey, it's going to be 38 degrees, potentially a chance for rain. And Oklahoma, as of right now, Oklahoma is favored by 24 points. 24 points. And I look at this game and I look at this history. Did you know Oklahoma has never beaten BYU? And the 2 times that they've played, between 1994 and 2009, BYU has beat Oklahoma both times. Largest margin of victory was in 94, 31-6. And then, of course, everybody remembers 2009 when Sam Bradford got hurt in that game. And Oklahoma was coming off the heels of a national championship appearance and hopes were high the next year. Well, BYU kind of ended that for Oklahoma that year. So listen, if you're Oklahoma, you want to come out of this game beating one of the few teams that you have never beaten. You're going to get an opportunity with that in the SEC as well, because Georgia's on that list. Boise State's on that list. And I know there's a couple other teams that I can't think of off the top of my head that are on that list as well. But very few teams that have never beaten Oklahoma when Oklahoma has played them. BYU is one of them. So Oklahoma is looking to get their first win ever this weekend with a line favoriting them of 24 points. This game is sold out in Provo. So it's going to be a packed house. Early kickoff, 10 a.m. local time there, 11 a.m. here at Oklahoma. So listen, pretty much normal to them. You're just going to continue to do your morning routines the way you normally do. You played a lot of 11 o'clock games, but if you're a fan that's going to be in the stadiums, you're going to get to watch the sunrise. So in beautiful mountain setting in the stadium, you're going to get to watch the sunrise. This is going to be an awesome, awesome atmosphere. But let's dive into this matchup a little bit, and let's talk about, I don't think by BYU's got an advantage, but let's talk about the advantages here for the teams going forward. So Oklahoma is coming to this game after a dominating 59-20 win against West Virginia, where Dylan Gabriel had 8 total touchdowns in that game. BYU is coming on 4 of their 5 last games have been losses. Oklahoma, 3 out of their last 2 have been wins. So a tale of 2 different programs right here. Oklahoma actually still fighting for a Big 12 championship play, or a Big 12 championship spot. So we'll have to see. Hey, Oklahoma wins out. They take care of what they need to. Obviously, you need Texas to lose to Iowa State. You need some other teams to help you out. But you know what? You can only take care of what you can take care of. And beating teams like BYU the way you're supposed to, that's what you got to do. And it ain't pretty for BYU. Over the past 2 games, they've had their, I believe he's a freshman quarterback in there. He hasn't been stellar, guys. Jake Retzloff, I think I said that right. 34 completions on 69 attempts, 314 yards, 49.3% completion percentage, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. He's been sacked 2 times. This offensive line is not very good. They have allowed their quarterbacks to be sacked a total of 18 times so far. This Oklahoma defensive line should not only be able to apply pressure to whether it's Keaton Slovis or Jake, but they should also be able to come in here, get tackles for loss. They should be able to get sacks. I don't feel like this is a game where Oklahoma should allow a lot of passing yards. Keaton Slovis, not that great either. So your defense, if you're Oklahoma, you are the number 68 total defense in the country, allowing 376.8 yards per game, 47 in rushing, only allowing 137 yards. Number 89th in passing, allowing 238.9 yards per passing. You're number 2 in turnovers with 21, with 17 interceptions. That's number 1 in the country, and 4 fumbles. When I look at this team, Oklahoma has not been good in the passing game this year. They haven't, clearly. I mean, when they go to a zone coverage, they're getting beat. If you're Oklahoma, even in the zone coverage, which you have not been good in this year, BYU should not be slicing you up. Meaning Key Lawrence has got to be in the right places at the right time. Billy Bowman and Woody Washington, they've played well this season. You need them to continue to come out and play well. I don't think Gentry Williams will be playing in this game, but if Robert Spears-Jennings is playing in his place, or you see some of these other guys there, Makari Vickers, you want to see them step up and play well. I don't think if you're Oklahoma, you should allow over 150 yards passing in this game. And I'm being dead serious. Here's why. Keaton Slovis this year, in every game he's played. Sam Houston, 145. Southern Utah, 348. Arkansas, 167. Kansas, 357. Cincinnati, 223. TCU, 152. Texas Tech, 127. Texas, 197. West Virginia, Retzloff got 210, and then against Iowa State, Retzloff got 104. I think if you were able to hold the BYU Cougars to 150 passing yards, you look at this secondary and you go, you guys had a stellar performance today. Now, mind you, if they do that, they're probably getting a couple interceptions as well. Now, as far as the rushing attack for BYU, absolutely not are they allowed to get above 100 yards. They haven't done it this season. And not one rusher they've had get above 100 yards this season, but you should not let them get above 100 yards. Your defensive line has been able to make those kind of stops this season, and we should be able to continue to see them make those stops this year. So if you're Oklahoma, you're only looking up to give about 250 yards in this game. That should be it. You should come out and your defense should be absolutely stellar. Now, I mean, I'm not naive. BYU is probably going to score. I give them 10 points. That's about it. That's the most I'll give BYU. But at the end of the day, if you're Oklahoma, this offense for BYU should not be able to move up and down the field. Their offense is garbage. Hot garbage. Now, BYU's defense, I'm not going to say it's hot garbage, but it ain't great either. So when we look at the offensive side of the ball for Oklahoma, you're playing the 103rd ranked total defense, the number 56th rushing defense, and the number 76th passing defense. You should be able to, the run game hasn't been your strong suit, but it looks like Gavin Sawchuk is really getting his feet under him. It looks like he's really gaining some confidence back in that hamstring. Looks like he's being a little bit more patient as those offensive linemen are starting to create those holes and open up those gaps. If Gavin Sawchuk continues to be patient, this will be a game where he gets 150 plus yards. Additionally, in the pass game, this is a game where Dylan Gabriel should throw 350 plus yards. And I want to see more Nick Anderson and more Jaden Gibson. We've seen a lot of Farouk. We've seen Drake Stoops. I want to see you throw to Nick Anderson, Jaden Gibson. Those are your 2 future pieces. Now, does Farouk come back next year? I think it depends on his grade, but I'm looking at it and saying Farouk might leave. So I want to see Anderson and Gibson get some touches here. Drake Stoops not going to be here. Next week, he can have his come out party against TCU. So if you're Oklahoma here, again, there's not a lot to this game, right? There's not a lot to break down here. BYU's pretty bad. This is not a good team for you. And at the end of the day, you've never beat BYU. So you have an opportunity to create excitement around this fan base and do what you need to do to put yourself in a position to go play for a Big 12 championship, which Oklahoma has not done this season. You're 8-2. You lost 2 games you shouldn't have. That's what I mean by you have not done what you needed to get yourself to the Big 12 championship. And I want to see Oklahoma do that. I want to see Oklahoma go out here and dominate the team. Here's the deal. If Levy comes out here, and I guarantee you if Oklahoma does not score 45 plus points in this game, and the play calling looks kind of bad, you thought the past couple of games before West Virginia were bad. You wait until now. Fans are already on edge. Even though we haven't talked about Levy. We haven't talked bad about him. He did a good job against West Virginia. You come out and you put out a poor play calling performance against BYU. Heaven forbid. Now, obviously, if the defense gives up a bunch of points, you can't blame the offense for the defensive struggles because Jeff Levy's not calling that. So if the game's close because of the defense giving up points, not going to blame Levy there. But even if the game's close because of the defense giving up points, your offense should be able to torch this BYU defense. And I feel like if you're Oklahoma, you have the advantage here with this time slot. You have an advantage here with the 11 a.m. kick against BYU. Remember, everybody thought this was going to be a night game. And I'm pretty sure BYU was preparing for that all season to be a night game. And this one ended up being an 11 a.m. kick. Oklahoma plays a lot of those, right? I know it's going to be an hour earlier. But if you're Oklahoma, you know how to prepare for these early morning games. So you come out here. It's a road trip. You take care of business. It's championship November. Let's not forget that. Oklahoma's good in November. And we want to see you guys. I know last year wasn't the year, but I want to see Oklahoma take that step back to being dominant and to be a shutout team in November, a team that you don't want to play. That's where we're at. BYU is not good. Again, I don't know how many times I got to say it. You look at Oklahoma's path to the Big 12 championship. Again, I said it, the easiest path. And I think the one that we got to look at the most is Texas losing to Iowa State. If Texas loses to Iowa State, you're pretty much in the driver's seat by yourself to get into the Big 12 championship. Don't really have to rely on a whole lot. Now, if you guys want, we can make another video breaking that down again, going into a little bit more detail of how Oklahoma can get there. But that's my thoughts, guys. This is my thought on the game. Again, super easy. There's not a lot to break down. It's not like BYU does anything special. They don't have a great offense. They don't have a great defense. BYU is a bad team. I mean, the record tells you they're better than some other teams in the Big 12. I don't think that's the case. UCF, I think, one of the bottom feeders of the Big 12 would come in and beat BYU. I think there's a lot of teams in the Big 12 that could do that to BYU. So if you're Oklahoma, 250 yards, I think you should be allowed to give up in this game. I'm going to give a score prediction of 62-10. 62-10. That's what I'm going to do. And I don't even think they scored 10 points, but I'm going to be generous and I'm going to give them a couple points there. So, guys, I want to hear from you. I want to hear what y'all's thoughts are. Drop your predictions in the comments below. We'll be making sure to interact with you. If you guys haven't already, you guys need to jump over to the previous video I posted the other day. I dropped my first prediction, my recruiting prediction. I want you guys to go jump in there, see if you guys let me agree with that. If you guys haven't, you can guys go follow me on Instagram. That'll be down in the description as well below. Follow me on any of my podcast platforms, Google, Spotify, or Apple. make sure you just give me a follow, 5 stars, help the podcast out. We're trying to continue to grow this thing, bring you guys more great content. Appreciate you guys tuning in. See you guys next time.